Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell Podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. Pleased to be joined by Andy Shira, the boys lacrosse coach at Forest Hill Central. Andy, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing well. I know the season's about to get kicked off here in a few weeks, but how exciting is it to get the year going?
It's really exciting. The success that we had last year, and we've got a good group of guys returning, a good core group of guys returning, and a lot of young talent coming up as well. Last year, we kind of got thrown a curveball at the beginning of the year where we made the decision to go down to one team. So all those freshmen and sophomores that we had last year, they're back now too, with a year of varsity experience under their belt.
Yeah. So kind of talk about just the guys that are coming back, some of the names that we need to watch out for Forest Hill Central.
Yeah, I think it's going to start right at the back end of our team, led by our senior goalie, Crandall Quinn. He's a two-time field All-American for us, three-time captain for us. He's committed to go to the University of Michigan next year. So he'll be one that we lean on. He's been a captain for us, like I said, for two previous years, and now again this year. So he's one that we certainly look to lead, not only our goalie positions, but kind of the defense as a whole. He's certainly the leader of the team as a whole as well.
Yeah.
Last year we went up against the number one strength of schedule in the state of Michigan, and played some really good out of state competition as well throughout the Midwest. And I think his statistics go to show just how much he works at his craft and wants to fine tune everything. I think he finished right around just below 70% save percentage, which is almost unheard of in the sport of lacrosse, especially against some of the talent that he faced. So he did really well for us. I think in the middle of the field, I think our offense is going to get helped out with a lot of extra possessions by our face-off person is Luke Wetter. He's back and has kind of continued the tradition of the Wetter family. We had his older brother Logan a few years back too, who was all state for a number of years. Luke has done a great job with us the 2 years that he's been with us as well on the varsity team. Just as you know, faceoffs are so key in lacrosse to get those extra possessions and get the ball over to your offense.
Yep.
So we'll look at Luke to lead us there and help get us other opportunities to score goals. Also in transition, we'll have our long stick midfielder back this year, the senior Sam Snyder. Sam last year was both field and academic All-American. So he is going to be back. He's really one of the leaders for our defense as well. A little bit less vocal than Crandall is, but he leads by example. He's there every single day, works his butt off, and he's not only a defensive threat, but he's going to push the ball in transition and create offense too with his long stick. I think last year he finished with 4 or 5 goals, scored a big one for us in the state finals last year as well to kind of help jumpstart our comeback as we were trailing early in the game.
Yeah. Of course, for people that may not know, Forest Hill Central did take the Division II state title last year in lacrosse. Let's talk about the state finals for a minute. It's moving. It's moving to. You won't have very far if you make it to the state finals this year to go to.
Right. Yeah. So it's going to be just down the street from us over at East Grand Rapids High School, about 10 minutes or so away from us. So it'll be huge if we can get back there. Not only for our team, but for our community as well. Traveling 10 minutes across the Beltline here in Grand Rapids to go over there instead of going to Howell. We should have a really good support system. And even when we've had to travel, our community does a great job of supporting us and supporting our athletic department.
Yeah. What's different about from this year's team to last year's team?
This year, I think they're farther ahead already than what we were last year. Coaches and I have kind of been making the comments throughout this first week of the season so far, is that things we were starting to implement and teach guys towards the end of the year has sustained with them. It's stuck with them. They're offensively, we're going to be led on the field by Jonah McConnell, who was our leading goal scorer last year. He's back this year. And then Nolan Hartle at the midfield. And those guys, they're making some incredible looks right now in practice when we're installing our offense. And it's a lot of positive, that we're looking at. We were kind of unsure what some of our depth might be at offense this year, but all throughout the fall and all throughout the winter this year, these guys were working together, um, just on their own, playing, and some of them play on club teams in the winter as well. And these guys have really kind of taken it to another level that we weren't expecting to walk into on March 13th.
Yeah. Since you've been involved in lacrosse, just obviously the sport has gotten more popular, as the years have gone on. What have you noticed about the growth of this sport overall?
It's growing, especially here in West Michigan. I grew up in West Michigan. I went to Rockford High School. Back then, Rockford's program, we didn't start having teams that I was able to play on until sixth grade. And now a handful of these programs over here in Forest Hill Central specifically, we've had more of an established program since the 90s. But our program, we start down at kindergarten. Last year, we actually had so many kids that we had our own kindergarten and first grade team. A lot of programs have kind of K through two. And this year, we've got that K through two group again, too. So it's starting younger and younger. People want to get involved in lacrosse. I think the sport overall, just from a national level as well, too, and having exposure on TV, kids are starting to see that on television. And they're getting more and more colleges around the area that have access to teams as well, and it's just getting more well known. Probably baseball was always kind of what people would go to in the spring, just because that's been around for forever. But as lacrosse is starting to grow, you're starting to see more and more school districts pick this up.
Yeah. So let's talk about your schedule this year. Who are some of the teams that you're going to be facing?
So we always pride ourselves in scheduling the best competition that we can. I would probably say this year is the toughest schedule that we've put together for the guys. So we're going to start off kind of right off the bat here. This weekend, we're going to go down to Indianapolis and play Carmel and Hamilton Southeastern out of the Indianapolis area. Hamilton Southeastern is the Indiana state champion from 2022. Carmel's always in that mix as well. They won it for several years, just about 6, 7 years ago. So they're developing down there as well. And that's something we've been doing probably since I want to say we started that in 2017, 2018. Starting to play those teams, and we've built a really great relationship with not only their programs but their head coaches too. And last year they came up to Grand Rapids, so we're going to make the trip back to them and play them again this year. We've also added some more out-of-state competition against some Ohio powerhouses. We're going to play over in the Detroit area toward the end of April, in the Showdown in Motown, as John Losi is calling it this year. We're going to play Hudson and St. Xavier out of the Cincinnati area.
Yep.
Those two teams are very strong. They've started playing a little bit earlier than what we have in Michigan this year. Just seeing some of their scores, both of them look to be very solid again this year, as I would expect. And actually, Coach Swind at Hudson there, he used to be a coach here in Michigan. I know he used to coach at Hazlitt back in the day, and then for a couple of years he was the head coach of Michigan State University's club team. So that's kind of nice to reconnect with him, and kind of get a little bit more Michigan connection there. And then as far as in-state, we'll play all the top teams again this year. Highlight our game with Brother Rice that we're going to have in April 21st. It'll actually be a pretty cool little evening for us. Our girls team is going to play Brighton, who both our girls team and Brighton's girls teams are some of the best in the state. So that could be a very good indicator of how playoffs may go. I know Brighton plays in Division One, and our girls play in Division Two. So you could have number one in Division One for girls, and number one in Division Two for girls, and then right after that, we're going to play Brother Rice. So there's an opportunity you could have 4 number one teams there in the same night.
Yeah, that should be a lot of fun stuff for sure. And what do you
Yeah,
want to see out of this team in the next few weeks?
Just growth. Biggest thing we've been pushing with the kids every day is we want energy and effort. We want their work ethic to be there, and then also we're pushing coachability. We want guys who are coachable. We've got a few new guys this year too that have never played or they've taken a couple of years off, so now they're trying to play that catch-up game. A lot of our guys are multi-sport athletes, so they've been going back to back to back pretty much year round with different sports. And our community does a really good job. Our athletics do a really good job of kind of preaching a consistent message across all of our sports teams. But it's just kind of getting used to hearing it from a different voice, going sport to sport. But we want guys who are coachable, not guys that think they know everything or that they don't have to adjust, because you're going to get thrown at adversity not only on the lacrosse field but in life too, and it's just going to be how you adapt to that and how you can help overcome that.
All right. Well, Andy, thank you so much for taking some time to talk with us, and best of luck this season.
Thank you, Casey. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.